Welcome to Basketball on Figueroa, the only podcast breaking down everything happening with the Lakers, Clippers, and Sparks. I'm your host, Edwin Garcia, and joining me today is my co-host, Darian Vaziri, aka Dime Drop. Dime, before I ask you how you're doing, when Harden was traded to the Clippers, we wondered if they'd ever win. And now we're wondering if they'll ever lose. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, Edwin. This is the best regular season basketball the Clippers have played since, the Kawhi era has started. The 2-1-3 era has begun. They're rolling right now, and you know a big reason why? No load management, no injuries. When Kawhi first came, that first year, it felt like we could build a winning streak, but then Kawhi would have to sit out the second of a back-to-back, and we wouldn't look like the same team because Paul George already was missing a lot of games that season. So I always have said throughout these last couple of years, it's really hard to build a winning streak with load management, with the regimen that these guys are on, and of course the natural injuries that they've been getting. But now that we've had a run of 25 out of 26 games played with Paul George, and Kawhi having played every game, and then Harden and Westbrook haven't missed a game, there should be no surprise why the record is 16-10. You would honestly think it should be better, but of course we had that adjustment period with Harden. But now, man, remember when you said, what's so super about it? It looks like a super team right now, Edwin. It looks like a super team. And you look at last night's stats, man, 151 points. I know it's the Pacers, and they've been allowing a lot of points in general, but three guys over 27 points with Paul George, Kawhi, and Harden at 35. I obviously am not a big fan of Harden's game, and it was my least favorite star to ever play basketball besides guys that have off-court weird stuff going into him coming to the Clippers. But one thing I never denied is that this guy is still a great player. He is still an all-star player. I was saying it's a super team before he even played a game because he just averaged 20 and 10 and was the second best player on a team that was one game away from making the conference finals. Having him as your third option still could be great. And what's really unlocked it, as we all know, we've talked about so much, Russ going to the bench. It's not really looking like a big four when you watch the Clippers play. It looks like a big three because Russ is getting minutes under 20. But the aura, the discussion around the team, when you go to a game, you feel that fourth presence of a Russell Westbrook. It's impossible to miss him. So right now, it's looking like the first super team in Clipper history, and the 8-game winning streak reflects that, but it's all about, and I think we're going to talk about it more, Kawhi Leonard.
100%. It's all about Kawhi. I would fair. Everything's documented. Anyone can go and clip it out, which, I do a good job of clipping out the most interesting things we've talked about. I did ask what was so super about it, but I also was higher on the Harden trade than you were. I told you this was their chance.
Anybody was higher than me.
That's true. That might the bar was low, but I did go past. But I did say, and I've talked to other people too, and I'm like, they don't think they have enough. They think Harden gives them a shot to have enough. Now we'll never know, had the trade never happened, what that team would look like. But we know this team, and so far, it looks like I said. I mentioned it last week that they're in the mix for a title. They're not the favorites. I don't think they're going to get it, but they're in the mix. And every week that goes by, they look like they're more and more in the mix. It is early, but hey, it's also past the quarter mark, heading to the halfway point, and they're only gaining more momentum and building more steam towards what their goal is. So, you're right. It's looking good. I mean, if you don't think they look good now, you're never going to think any team looks good because it's kind of hard to do better than they've been doing. And like you said, we'll get into it. Before we do that, let's go in order here. We got Lakers, Spurs. We had a couple Spurs games, and a few were kind of ugly. So we'll go really quickly, blast right through them. The first one was the 122-119 Lakers victory over Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. In this game, again, AD just still in a tear, 37 points, 10 rebounds. You got a non-LeBron game, which is always a concern. But again, the Spurs are kind of spiraling. They're not really looking to win. They're just looking to build habits and develop a star player. And that's what you saw. You did see some really good moments from Wembanyama. He had some really nice dunks. He had one over AD, and then AD was the first one to kind of get right in his grill and dunk on him. And then Wembanyama responded with that. You got some good back and forth, and ultimately AD and the Lakers were just a little too much for the Spurs in that fourth quarter, even though they tried to rally back. Did you watch this game? What did you see from Wembanyama here against the Purple and Gold?
This is the game that the Lakers rested LeBron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, The Lakers we got away with it. Thankfully, you would hope as a Laker fan that you can get away with beating the Spurs and giving LeBron a rest. If there's anybody that I actually, me, I hate load management, but if there's anybody that I will defend it with, LeBron, with all the mileage and the level that he's still playing at, I'll give him a, leeway. And Anthony Davis was a beast. I did watch the second half of that game. Felt like the Lakers were in complete control, but then the Spurs came surging back, and I thought the Lakers were really careless with the ball, towards that fourth quarter. But Wemby, he had some big shots. Those step back threes, those consecutive threes, it got the Spurs going. And I never thought they were going to win the game, but credit AD. I don't remember. I could be wrong, but I remember him hitting big free throws in that game.
Yes, he did. He hit every. I think he. Let me look. He went 9 for 12, and I think he went 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 in the fourth quarter. He didn't miss one in the fourth. He hit the last ones, and just again, like you said, it was just a little too much for the Spurs to do. Right, like good teams find ways to win those games even when they're trying to give it away, and bad teams find a way to give it back. And that's what the Spurs are—a bad team that found a way to give it back because they had a shot, but like you said, just a little bit too much to try to overcome with the deficit. And one of the big things that happened there was the offensive foul by Wembanyama on D'Lo. He was trying to kick the leg out and get some contact. The ref didn't give it to him. It ended up being an offensive foul. And then the final play of the game, it was a 3-point game. The Spurs tried to inbound it, and who steals the ball and make sure there isn't like a Hail Mary 3 to go to overtime? Anthony Davis. And that's the difference. They're able to close it out and do just enough to get the win, and the Spurs were unable to. All right, let's go ahead and move towards the next game since we have some more Lakers Spurs action coming up. We had Clippers Warriors. You were high on the Clippers and Lakers all week, but Clippers Warriors 121 to 113. They took care of business again against Golden State. Obviously, Golden State's going through a lot right now, which we're going to get into. But what was your biggest standout of this another victory for the Clippers against the Warriors? I know in your vlog you were very animated about the environment and the scene there. So talk to us a little bit about what that experience was like watching that game and watching the Clippers beat the Warriors again.
Yeah, one of those nights where the opposing fan base is going to bring a lot of fans, and it's going to be basically a 50-50 at a Clipper game. Obviously, it was not like this before Curry. Even though the Warriors always brought some fans, it was definitely not like this. But the Clippers team, it was a scary one because that was the only game that Paul George has missed this season. He was out, and that was after he missed that second half against Sacramento, I believe it was. Yeah, Sacramento.
Yeah.
And he didn't play, and Amir Coffey stepped into the starting lineup and had 18 points. Amir Coffey has not been in the rotation this year. We haven't mentioned his name much at all. And now it looks like he's starting to take Kobe Brown's minutes in that backup 4 spot. And remember, Kobe Brown's body type is more built to be a 4, but it is the small ball NBA. Who's a better defender? Who's able to hit more shots? I think Amir Coffey is the answer to that. So going forward, expect to see Amir Coffey in that rotation and probably getting some more minutes because right now Kawhi, Harden, and Paul just playing too many minutes. Especially for a team that has, a super team, big 4, whatever, they're playing a lot of minutes. So getting Amir Coffey in there to defend and just be another wing, a big body out there is nice. In this game, he stepped in for Paul George beautifully, had 18 points, 4 for 11 from 3, 6 for 15 overall. Not the best percentages, but knocking down 4 threes and getting 18 points in that supporting role is amazing. And then Kawhi Leonard and Harden were really the standouts. Kawhi, 27 points, 8 rebounds on 9 for 16 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3. And the James Harden, player of the game, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 15 assists, and then a steal and 4 blocks. It was the best defensive game I've seen Harden play in years. Years, Edwin. So I give him credit for that. I did not expect that. I expected him to play passable defense because I think his defensive faults are, it's when people say he's the worst defender of all time and all this stuff. Nah, I don't think he's actually – I don't even think he's the worst defender to be an all-star all time. So I actually think he's passable when he wants to be. But he was good, legitimately good. In this
That's a good question. Who's the worst defender, all-star defender? That's definitely like some off-season content, but I'm trying to think now. Who is a turnstile on defense there?
Well, I know up to this season, I've heard he's playing better defense this year, but up to this season, Trae Young, I think, is weak. He's just small.
Yeah. Huh, that's an interesting one. Maybe one for later on. I've never thought about it.
Gilbert Arenas wasn't that
Arenas was. I
good.
was thinking Arenas. I was thinking Arenas as well. Yeah.
But Harden, I mean, look, when he might be mentioned in that conversation, though, when people just think off the top of their heads, I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, I think Harden has been very good defensively for the Clippers and what we need him to do. He got to the line 12 times in this game, made 11 of them. Of course, there was some of those calls. I'm like, how are we getting these calls? But we've been against Harden before. So yeah, overall, really solid performance. And then Norman Powell brought us home with 21 points. The Clippers just bet on the Warriors, Edwin. I mean, Harden would be the second best player on this team, straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, big win.
Yeah, and again, the Warriors are just struggling. They just can't get it together. You still got you got a good Clay game here too, and it still wasn't enough. Yeah, they're just in poor form right now. So, not that anyone's feeling sorry for them, but it is what it is. So moving on, unfortunately, we have to talk about Lakers Spurs 129-115. Just an ugly game. You did get LeBron back. But now you didn't have AD. So again, it was just trading off. And the difference is, again, we talk about LeBron and AD's value and who's better. This is kind of a good argument for, you see the difference in AD and, like, you talk about defense. The Lakers defense, when AD's there, you're like, they might be a really good defensive team. AD's gone and you're like, this team is trash. Because especially, like you said, on the defensive side of the ball, this shows why he should be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. That's how important he is. Everything is funneled to him. It's centered on him. It's based on him. He fixes a lot of mistakes. The players literally guide the offense towards where he's at. He's a point of attack defender in that way, not on the ball, but just like, okay, we're going to drive the ball there if you're not going to go for a three. And if you are going to go for a three, he might still come out and contest depending on if you put him in pick and roll. And he can still, recover because he's still so quick and, he's got those long arms and everything. Without him there, it was just rough. They gave up 129. They dominated. The first quarter, it was over. 42-22 in the first quarter. The 20-point deficit to start the game. They tried to dig out of it, but that, as you know, 20-point deficit, even in the NBA, 20-point deficit, and you don't have your best defender, like, how are you going to come back from that? You're going to need someone to hit 7 3-pointers, and this team does not have a player that can really do that. So they lost 129-115. It was a rough loss. I understood the loss because AD wasn't there, and it was, on the road and all those kinds of things. But obviously, no Laker fan was happy about losing to a team that only had 3 wins prior to this game. But Wemby was, again, very, very good. And again, without AD there, it just changed things up, and the Spurs took advantage.
Yeah, it just showed AD's value. But also, you guys are missing Cam Reddish and D'Angelo Russell. So
yeah,
that's relevant as well. But yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
It's like every single week we're going back and forth. I'm like, man, is AD the best player on this team? But then LeBron will close a game and I'll be like, okay, let's still LeBron. Then AD, he won't play. And you see how bad the Lakers are defensively without him, really. And I'm like, yeah, AD's definitely the best player on this team. So
defensively for sure, yeah.
But it's just, it's so major what he does defensively. You know what I'm saying? LeBron's defensive impact is just not nearly as strong. I don't think anybody on your team's defensive impact is nearly as strong as Anthony Davis. So, and then he gives you offensively. I don't know if he's a leading scorer, if he's second right now.
He's second, I believe. Let me look it up. I think he's second.
I'm honestly closer to it right now than you are, probably.
I don't think so. Let's see.
Yeah, LeBron has 25.2, AD's at 24.2, and they've both played 25 games. So 1 point difference, I think. And also, Anthony Davis is averaging 13 rebounds a night and 3 blocks. I'm going to go with AD right now if I have to change my answer, but it's 1A, 1B, regardless of how you look at it. It's still LeBron's team in the sense that he's the leader. He's the face of the franchise. But it's just a terrible loss because, San Antonio, that broke their losing streak. And you never want to be that team, especially when you have a championship kind of agenda like the Lakers do, to lose that kind of game. So not a good loss at all.
No, yeah, it was a bad loss, ugly loss, one you just want to wipe away. Unfortunately, we'll get to it later. They didn't exactly wipe it away, but before that, we got to get into some Clipper action. And the Clippers, I'm more on the Lakers side personally. I'd rather the Clippers lose every game because that just makes me a little bit happier. But for the content here, of course, we're covering both. And also, honestly, if you just take away your feelings towards them, especially the Laker fans who are listening, this team is, they're putting 144 on the Knicks. And it was, I'm going to just read off a few of these stats. It was ridiculous. I was like, oh, man. Now they're really, you got a 12-16 game from Kawhi, 11-18 from a PG. 60% shooting from Norman Powell. He went 6 for 10. And I mean, the stat lines here: 36 from Kawhi, 25 from Paul George. You got, like I said, you got 16 from Powell off the bench. Even Russ, it wasn't like explosive, but 4 for 7, 10 points, like off the bench, you're gonna take that all day. And he gave you the 6 rebounds and 4 dimes. 144, 122. We might still not be at their best game of the season, of the week, even, which is shocking since we're just racking off wins here. But 144, 122. Again, another game against a team that has a big fan base, has a big, presence, but the Knicks weren't able to win in crypto, at least when they played the Clippers.
Man, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we made the Knicks look like a bad team. You guys made the Knicks look like a good team. They had nothing for Kawhi, like just absolutely nothing. That was a fun game to be at. Julius Randle, the fact that Kawhi was posting Julius Randle up was like, oh my God. Like, he's just not backing down. 12 for 16 was insane. I will say this, Edwin. I don't like making these kind of statements because it feels like it never ends up being a happy ending for Kawhi as a Clipper in the long haul. But, man, these are the moments that when we first got him, I was like, bro, I really have somebody even close to Kobe's level on my team. Not from an all-time sense, but like, peak for peak. Obviously, I'm always taking Kobe. I think Kobe's one of the best to ever do it. But Kawhi has similar abilities, being a very good defender and scoring 30 in a similar way, not too in love with the three-point shot. But he is so efficient at the three. Kawhi's become so great shooting the three. Obviously not as good off the bounce as Bean, but he still loves that mid-range game. I think, who Kawhi's idols are. It's Jordan and Kobe. So even Kobe, when he was alive, there was that clip I always used to share that said that Kawhi is one of my favorite. He operates in spots that I operate in. And when you see him hit those turnarounds with the double coming, no one in Clipper history that I've seen has been able to do that. I got to go back and see if Danny Manning was doing that and Bob McAdoo. But in my time as a fan, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul are not hitting post fades with two defenders coming at him. He had the ball behind the three, jab step, and Julius Randle. I mean, the amount of space he created without taking a dribble, that's the kind of stuff that I love. So, these things. And then James Harden, not a great shooting game, but still had a double-double and was still not bad defensively. I mean, come on. That's all you can ask for. And then Russ, he was bullying all their guards. Quickly, Brunson, just the energy level he brings. Clippers have been great at Staples Center this season. If we're going to go out of this stadium, let's go out with a great home record again. And, that having an all-fan section, for people that don't know, I mentioned that I'm in season tickets, all diehards trying to make noise all game. It's really great for the in-arena experience as a Clipper fan because at the very least, there's never going to be dead silence anymore. And that's a good thing. So, big win. Paul George was excellent. Looked like he hadn't even skipped a beat. And we just had like more star power than Knicks. Like, I'd rather take James Harden than Julius Randle.
I'm not there just because I really like Julius Randle's game, and also he's a different type of player.
He is,
obviously different position. But I will say, I don't. Yeah, I'm not. We'll have to see the playoffs because Randle also disappears at times in the playoffs. So you the
Randle's
same
worse. What do you? James Harden at least has. Look what James Harden's done. Like James Harden had 45 in the Garden. That's better than
Randle hasn't won playoff games for the Knicks. I think I can pull up a few he's won.
Which one? Maybe that one game he won against the Hawks.
Yeah,
last year he was injured. Last year he was injured when they beat the Cavs.
Sure, but Randle's had his games too. He's had his games where he's really carried and he's really pulled. I get what you're saying. It's a good question. I think it's a good question because again they play different positions, and I feel like what Randle does is rare in this league. And having a player who can get up there really helps the Knicks, especially it helps them on the glass, helps them with rebounding, and when he does get going offensively, it just gives him another threat. You add that with that's the Knicks' path to like the next level. If Randle can be just a little bit more consistent, and you know what you're getting from Brunson, if they can get a little more consistency from RJ as well, now you're in the mix because with all those three clicking, and then Emmanuel quickly as well, who's emerging. It feels like every week he's getting better and better. You're not an Emmanuel Quickly fan there?
No. I like Emmanuel Quickly. He played great against the Lakers.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he did. They have something there. Obviously, they're in the mix, but they're a lower tier than I think that the Clippers are. But yeah, I think maybe I'm just a little bit higher on Randle. I've also seen so much more of Randle than probably Harden because of all the Laker years. But I understand. Randall does disappear. He is frustrating. And his lows are probably lower than Harden's lows. So I'll give you that. But I can't wait. We'll revisit this in the playoffs. I'm assuming both teams are at least going to make the first round
Oh,
and
I
see
care.
kind of what the performances are like.
Oh man, I don't want to say it because it's injuries could happen, but without
Yeah.
any injury, there's no way the Knicks are going further than the Clippers. No chance, bro. We have so much. We have a super team,
I think it depends on the West is so tough. It might come down to
man.
what happens if you get unlucky and you end up being a 6 seed and the Nuggets are a 3 seed. I'm not sure. I wouldn't even
That's
go that
okay.
far.
If you're playing Denver, yes.
And you might.
But
What would it be right now? Let me take a quick look. We'll do this quick detour here because the West is brutal, as you know.
bro,
Compared to the East, if they're a top 14, they're going to come out of the first round. If they're going to play someone like someone on the weaker end, the Knicks will probably have a good first round matchup compared to the Clippers, just because the West is just really really tough. For example, I'm pulling it up here. If we started today, and let's assume the 1 through 8 get in, we won't do the play-in magic. Yeah, you're playing the Nuggets actually 3-6. That's what it would be today. that's a tough. The Lakers would agree to play in.
We're not going to finish
Yeah.
sixth or fifth. The team is too talented, man.
I don't know. It's early. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I think the West is going to be extremely tight. I think the gap between
dude, these teams are not as good as the Clippers. I'm telling you. Kawhi Leonard. The only way is if he gets hurt. But even if he gets hurt, James Harden is still there for the regular season. That's the whole point of them getting Harden. Kawhi is playing. We need to. That was the last Clipper game, right? Or we got one more. We got Clippers and.
We got one more. Well,
okay.
Let's jump into it then. So we can keep the conversation going with that one.
Yeah.
So we got an animated dive today. Surprise, surprise. So the last one we had was the Monday game before we get back to Lakers. So we had both teams playing, which is why the pod's coming out a little bit later. It's funny because I was watching this game at Crypto. They have all the games on the screen and stuff, and so I watched Harden just manhandle the Pacers from the Chick Hearn media room, which is kind of a cool thing to watch. And yeah, they put the graphic up there that he had more points in the fourth than the entire Pacers team. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And I saw him do the Snow Angels and all that. Harden was having a Harden game. I mean, I talked about the Lakers needed someone who could hit 7 threes to come back from against the Spurs. Harden did that against the Pacers. He had 8 for 11 from 3 alone. He was absolutely ridiculous. Didn't do it from the foul line, only shot 3 free throws, but guess what? He made all of them. He had 35 points. I mean, he was just an absolute dominant, just monster in that game. And again, I don't know if the Lakers are starting to break teams, but since they beat the Warriors, that hasn't been the same. And the Pacers were the NBA darling one night in Vegas, and after that, they got stopped by the Lakers. And ever since then, everyone realized, you know what? If we just attack Halliburton, they can't play defense, and I think we can run them out of the gym. And that's what's been happening to the poor Pacers. They've only won one game since the in-season tournament, and I mean, they gave up 151 points. Part of that is the brilliance of the Clippers, and part of that's just like, you got to get it together on defense. You can't do that against a team that's talented. It can get really ugly. Dime, tell me what your feeling was, watching this on the road, since obviously they weren't here in LA, but in Indy, just putting up 151 points without overtime. Like, what was up with that?
Pacers don't guard. They just don't guard at all. And we have too much star power. Again, Tyrese Halliburton didn't look right, man. He looked like a little injured. I know he missed the previous game. Terrence Mann, though, did a really good job on him in the third quarter. And even though Terrence's 3-ball has still not come around, man, if Terrence Mann's 3-ball starts coming around, it's going to be really hard to guard the Clippers, man. Because it's already hard, but he's shooting like putrid from 3, like 23% on the season. If he can get that up to 34%, 35%, then the teams are in real trouble. Zubats has been playing great, and Harden absolutely has helped him. Because you knew Harden's one of the best pick and roll players of all time. That's the one guy I knew he was going to help. Zubats had another double-double, 18 and 16 against the Pacers. And then Westbrook bringing great energy. He's been really efficient the last couple of games off the bench. And you just can't understate or overstate his sacrifice that he's made, him and Bones Highland, in reduced roles and being so positive on the bench. 2 of our most vocal guys. It's amazing. You can't, it's different. It clearly makes you feel like, obviously winning helps everything, but with the Lakers, when he went to the bench, his attitude still wasn't good. I feel like he was forcing things. And I think I'm starting to realize the one thing I really underestimated is Westbrook's friendship with Harden. like how willing he is to do this because he messes with him. Like that's his guy. They're actual friends. This is the third time they're doing this. So clearly they want to win with each other. And right now, Harden is getting the spotlight that the Clippers brought him in here to get. And it's crazy. I mean, I could believe what I was seeing, but the fact that he's wearing a Clipper jersey doing it, I was like, this is a weird experience for me, man. Like now I got people with in my fan base that I've followed for years with freaking Harden's beard as their profile picture. I'm like, what twisted reality am I living in right now? This is crazy. And now I'm starting to think, oh my God, bro, are we conference finals bound no matter what? Barring injury. Because the talent is a lot. Harden, third option. Maybe I slept on that a bit, ruling him out to win a championship entirely. Third option Harden almost did in Brooklyn. I stand by second option Harden not being that dude. I do. If you want to say he's the second option now, a 2A, 2B with Paul George, that's fine. But as the clear-cut second option, nah. I see Paul George as the better player, but people will argue Harden. I'm seeing a lot of people think that.
I agree with you. I think he's the third best. And I think if there ever is another drastic change in the starting lineup, it would either be Harden. It would probably be Harden coming off the bench or Russ somehow jumping back in. But you're Paul George and Kawhi. Those are the two, if they're healthy, they're starting every game. Those are the only two I'm 100% positive, no asterisk, if they're healthy, they're starting. And that's why they're the two best players on the team. Even if, Harden, yes, he can get to the level where he outperforms everyone like this game. But consistently, it's Kawhi and PG. Harden's going to be the third option here. He has been the third option, and he's embraced, I think that role overall. I think for me, like you said, Zoo, someone early on, we were like, is it over for Zoo? Is he falling off the cliff? And I did say, the tape's telling me that, but the tape's also telling me there's years that signify this is an abnormality, and he's just going to get into a groove. And now we're kind of getting there now, where we're like, okay, this is the Zoo that we kind of expected, that we're normally used to getting, compared to how bad he was the first 10, 15 games, where it just felt like, he lost everything. It looked like he looked like one of those Space Jam players who like all their talent went away, and it was like, what's going on with Zoo? But it looks like he's finally starting to get back there, which is good to see. The one thing that impressed me, of course, was the Harden display, and like you said, everything is kind of clicking on all cylinders. So we'll go into the previews of next week's games in a moment. But so far, yeah, I mean, everything's going the Clippers' way. The West is going to be very tough. It's going to be very hard. But again, they don't have to win every game. But if they can win, I don't know, 7 of the next 10, then you're right. That puts you in that probably 3-4 range. Because right now, unfortunately, the T-Wolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, they're just not losing games. So it's going to be really hard to catch them. But you can get up to that 3 spot, and then who knows? Maybe they start to regress to the mean a little bit. If they can start losing a couple games, it's so early. This time last year, I think the Pelicans were like a 2 seed. So, and they got injuries, of course, but that happens. But also, I don't think they were that good. I think they were just hot. And when we're only 20 games in, if you're hot for 10 games, that's gonna, change and skew where you're at in the standings. But we'll see where things go. But if they keep it up, they're gonna be up there at the top. Probably, I don't know, late January or so. They'll probably be a 3 seed, if not earlier. So we'll see what happens. So. The Knicks, we're going to come back to the Knicks. They got beat by the Clippers in convincing fashion, but that's not what happened with the Lakers. They actually beat the Lakers 114-109. And one thing I wanted to mention, Dime, is it was the first game I've been to at a Lakers home game where I could sense the presence of the opposing team. How were the Knicks fans when you were there? Did you notice that they were there? Were they present and active and loud?
35%, I'd say, was Knicks fans. There's a lot.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
what would you see for you guys? Like 10%?
So I think if you sat there, you would have said 10-5, because they didn't. A few wore the colors in the jerseys, but what I noticed a lot of was they would just be wearing regular clothes. And then I noticed it because I saw a few Knicks jerseys walk around the 200 level and just kind of get the vibe of the people. When I'm done doing like the work I have to do, I have a little bit of like 15-minute gap. I'm like, let me stretch my legs, let me walk around, let me see what the energy is like in the stadium. And I saw, a couple Knicks jerseys. Okay, it's a couple Knicks fans here, clearly. But it definitely looked like, 90, 95 Lakers. But then when I sat down, I could see a little bit more of sprinkle of that orange. I'm like, okay. And when it really came to my attention was Emmanuel quickly hit like a corner 3 in the first quarter. And when he hit it, the crowd clapped, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, the crowd's clapping. I'm like, no, that doesn't happen here. This is weird. And I saw a few other times, Randall would get a rebound and they'd be cheering, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? And over the time in the game, the Lakers crowd, especially as it got tighter, it clearly overwhelmed the few Knicks fans that were there, so they quieted down. But you noticed it, and you did sense the presence. When you hear them cheering for something bad happening with the Lakers, that never happens in that stadium. So it was a surprise to me. Of course, there's a lot of New Yorkers that live out here and work out here in LA. Also, plenty of people that come for these kinds of trips and say, hey, I'm going to see my team in LA, yada, yada. That happens pretty much every game. There's going to be at least a few fans that are like that. So, but I was surprised because, like I said, I've been going to Laker games sprinkled throughout the years, but obviously this year a lot credential with silver screen and roll, and I've never seen anything like that where I can audibly hear, throughout the crowd cheering for the opposing team when they're doing well. So, shout out to the Knicks fans.
What's the final verdict? 15%?
I would say probably 10 to 15. Yeah, and their noise level, especially in the first quarter, made it feel like 25.
Wow.
So yeah, they were really loud that first quarter, especially, and they stayed consistent. Their presence was felt. You would not go there. You noticed it if you were there. You noticed that the Knicks fans were there and they were cheering on their team.
They're everywhere, man. They're after the Warriors, Celtics, Bulls, and Lakers. They're next.
I put them above the Bulls, actually. I don't feel like Bulls fans. I don't know. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I think there's Bulls fans, like, obviously they're a big brand.
Oh, listen, man.
But I don't think they go to games. I don't think they're going to road games, like rocking the see red. I don't see red on the road. Maybe at home, sure. Their attendance numbers are pretty good. And obviously they got Jordan still and all that. And you can go anywhere in the world and have Bulls fans. But you have Bulls fans in the sense that they like Jordan. They like that idea. I think if we go to like I think when Lakers Bulls play, I'll be interested to see how many Bulls fans actually pull up. I don't think there'll be too many.
Dude, I went to in 2022. I went to my first Clippers Bulls game. Believe it or not, it took 17 years, but I finally went to a Clippers Bulls game. Bro, I couldn't believe it. I was like shocked. I was there and I'm looking around and everybody's wearing Pippen, Rodman, or Mike jerseys. Wow. It was legitimately like 55% Bulls fans. And when they did the dun, 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 let's go Bulls in the third quarter, I was like, what the hell is going on? I couldn't believe it. And then everybody was like, Bulls have the second highest concentration of Chicago Bulls fans in the world are in Southern California. Said some stat or mine or whatever. And so, bro, it was insane. It was
wow. Okay.
I haven't been. Do I have the ticket for the Bulls game this year? I'm not sure if I do. I may not be going. It might be on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And I may have a coaching thing to do. But oh my God, I couldn't believe.
Let me pull up. Do you have any idea when it is? I got the Clippers calendar up. January. Okay, I got you. Give me one moment. Yes, because they also play here. It's on a Sunday the 7th. Wait, no, that's the Lakers game. Hold on, never mind.
I was about to
that's
say,
Lakers.
we don't play on Sunday.
So let's see. You said it's January?
I believe so.
I don't see it on January. The Lakers do play the Bulls in January.
You're playing them. Playing them tomorrow.
Yeah, on the road, but at home.
Yeah.
They play them in January. No, yeah, I do.
And they play the Clippers. They play the Clippers.
Oh, okay. Here he goes.
Never mind. It's March 9th.
Yeah, but that's on the
Saturday.
road. I'm looking for the home game. I don't see. Let's look at all these red ones here. See red. Okay, there it is. Got it. Saturday, March 9th. It's going to be in Los Angeles.
I know.
Clippers Bulls.
Yeah, that's so. I don't know if I'll be at that. It's a Saturday afternoon. I usually do coaching stuff on Saturday afternoons, but
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? It's a few months away.
As far as the Lakers Knicks game, dude. I think the Lakers. You guys don't have that many great point of attack defenders, if we're being real. Like Cam Reddish is good, but he's not great. Taurean Prince is solid, but he's not great. And Taurean Prince and Cam Reddish, like they need to knock down their three balls. Taurean Prince is shooting 38% on the season. At least he was before today. I don't know what it's updated to, but it feels like he has games where he shoots really well, and then he has games where he can't hit a shot.
It's at home. I don't know why. I think I don't have the numbers on me, but on the road he's like 42%, and at home he's like 31%, and that was before last night's game where he went 3 for 13. Yeah, so I don't know why. We've always had the conspiracy. Again, you put that Lakers jersey on, and that three just it plummets. And for him, it's literally on the road. It's like it's at least a 10 to 15% difference. And again, we're talking about the same guy playing on the same team. Like, why is there such a stark difference at home? But that's been the case. And last night, especially, what made it frustrating was they were good looks. They were great looks. They were the exactly looks you want. So you're like, well, what are you supposed to do? Like, either bench him or he's got to keep taking them because they're wide open shots. And he was taking them to his credit. But, I mean, they weren't going in. And that was the whole team. I think the team shot 14 for 31 from three. And you're right. The reason this matchup wasn't good is Brunson is very good. There's some beat writers that don't even know who Brunson is, but they probably should because he's a really, really good guard. And he took advantage. He was bullying Reeves throughout the game. He was going for him. Ahem was wise. He switched them off in the fourth quarter for Reddish. But then again, Brunson knows what to do. He just called for the switch and he got Reeves again. And he was just attacking. And
Nobody
he had
could guard Brunson, man. Everybody that took a crack at him, nobody could guard him last night.
No, yeah, I think Reddish did the best job, but even him, like you said, he still managed to get some buckets in there. And you got a great Quickly game. He had 20 points, and Randall, especially in the first half, I think he had 20 points in the first half. Ended up with 27 on the night, and then he had like the final dunk to kind of put a ball in the game, and he dunked it. And he like looked at the crowd. Of course, he used to be a Laker, so he loves these games. He plays up for these games. I think he averages 29 points a game against the Lakers compared to 25. On the season, so he gets a little bit higher for these games. And this game had everything except for a Lakers win. It had the Knicks fans going nuts. It had ex-players like Josh Hart in the game, and Randall and D'Lo had good flashes in the first half. You got the L. You even had a dog influencer apparently sitting courtside that the crowd was going nuts for, which was really funny and weird. And then you had probably the event we'll remember this most about this game and this night, because the Lakers hung the NBA in-season banner. And I was so excited about seeing it and checking it out. But guess what? My co-host decided to spoil the party. He was the Grinch. He said, you know what? This is what you're going to get. You're going to get an iPhone on your birthday. So act surprised. And I'm like, why'd you ruin the surprise? Because I go on Twitter.com, or formerly known as Twitter. Now I guess it's called X. And what do I see? I see Dime tweeting out the image of the banner at like 9 a.m. And I'm like, dang, what's going on, man? And I, of course, if it's Dime, if he has some information like that, it's probably accurate. I wasn't sure, but I'm like, well, he had to be sure. You don't have to reveal your source or whatever. I would never ask you to do that. If you want to, you can, but obviously you don't have to. You probably shouldn't. What's going on? This banner gate. What happened here that you ended up sharing the banner and going viral in the morning, spoiling the Lakers banner night party festivities?
Well, I have people in some high places, and they shared it with me to let me see what it looked like, and I was like, "Oh, sick, interesting." They were like, "You can post it." I said, "Why? You want me to leak it?" And they were like, I'm not saying, but you never know what could happen. So I said, you know what? I'll do it. I'll be the first. It'll just remember, Twitter pays me now with the impressions. So that's not a controversial thing. I'm just showing you the thing. And plus, I mean, that it was hard to, didn't look like Photoshopped. It was right under the banners. I was a little nervous though, like if they had moved it, because people were talking about the placement of it. It's like, oh, if they move it, people are going to think I'm a scammer or something, but nah. But yeah, that was my thing. Also, I don't want to let certain guys off the hook. Lakers side. D'Angelo Russell. His lows are really bad, man. Because when he's not, he was shooting well from three, but he just didn't feel as aggressive, as involved. Didn't feel like he was running the pick and roll with AD as much. Maybe I got to rewatch that first half a little closer. But Reeves came in and gave you guys a spark when you guys went cold in the first half.
Yeah.
But D'Lo, defensively, he had some bad possessions. There was one time, there was a rotation, and he ended up going out to the corner for Grimes instead of Randall right at the rim. And LeBron gave him this look after a timeout, like, dude, what were you thinking? Like, and I was like, man, like he's not really wrong on that. And so, D'Lo just needs to be a little bit better. I know, flat out, we know what he can be. He needs to be a little bit better. It can't just be only games against bad teams. Austin Reeves, I thought he played pretty well, but the end of the third quarter with those turnovers was really bad.
Yeah.
Like 3 in a row, that was his turnovers.
And it was so funny. I didn't want to get into arguments with people on Twitter because I already had enough. It's funny. I just put up the banner when it actually was unveiled, and that apparently was controversial. But maybe we'll get into that off the record. But for some reason, Warrior fans got mad that I just shared the banner. I didn't talk smack. I just said the banner's unveiled, and all of a sudden people were like, "Oh man, this banner! It's so. Why would you even do this?" And I'm like, "Okay,
No,
relax. I didn't even tag anyone in here. What's going on?"
they're
But they're
triggered.
going through a lot. You know, they're beautiful baby boys getting slaughtered in the streets by himself, helpless. You know, all their icons are becoming old players. You know, their coach is just, you know, he's lost out there. He doesn't know who his best players are, and his best players aren't the players who used to be his best players, and they can't win any games, and they're sub 500, and they have no injuries or any reason to justify it other than a poor roster construction. Their GM left them high and dry when he realized what was going to happen. So they're going through. I understand. They're emotional. It's been a rough time, but I don't know. They decided to take it out on me. So I let a few of them know, hey, I feel you. I know you're hurting. I know it's not about me. It's the pain of your team, and you might have to join. You might have to join a new team, like Kobe said. You know, they like to mention the things Kobe said. Kobe did say they came out of nowhere, and they'll go somewhere else after we hang some banners. And apparently, little did we know it'd be the in-season tournament banner that would finally eventually do them in. But yes, it was a big deal. It was interesting. I was pretty positive you were right. I didn't even ask you about it because I'm like, shared it. He knows. Now I wonder. You said friends in high places. Are we talking high like they put up the banner, or high like ownership, management? You know, AEG kind of people there. But I guess we'll have to just theorize that
No
one.
ownership, no ownership, or those kind of high places.
Got you. So yeah, it was interesting, and yeah, I mean, it was revealed, and you had it 100% right. The placement was the way the picture was. It was the exact picture of everything that is now up there, and it'll be up there until they put something else up and move it around potentially. But yeah, it was a disappointing night. Like you said, D'Lo had a rough game. He's had those games, yeah, and those errors. I've seen that. I've seen, you know, LeBron give him those kind of glares and be like, "Hey, you're supposed to be here, supposed to be there." It's not the first time. Unfortunately, it won't be the last time. But he has to be better. And he talked about being better all season during the preseason about he wanted to redeem himself. And I think for the most part, he's been a lot better than he was last year, especially in the playoffs. But, you know, it was a bad game for D'Lo, no doubt. And not really any Lakers had a good game except for, you know, even like you said, Reeves. I don't even think he had a good game. It was interesting seeing people kind of being happy about Reeves' performance, and I didn't hate it, but I noticed those turnovers when they went to like point Reeves during that third quarter, and Reeves mentioned that third quarter as being kind of the turning point, the end of the third, start of the fourth, because the game was even at I think it was 78-78, and the Knicks went on a 12-2 run to end that quarter, and that pretty much was what, you know, gave them the 10-point lead going into the final frame there, and they weren't able to recover. So, you know, it's those kind of things where you can't make those kind of mistakes when you're trying to rally back. You can't spiral like that. And unfortunately for the Lakers, that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, they lost against the Knicks. They weren't able to take care of business. So hopefully, you know, they can bounce back. Now they're on the road. They're heading towards Chicago, and they're going to have a road series here, which we'll get into in a moment. But before we get into the road games and the upcoming games for both teams, I want to do a quick little rundown. Another Spark segment starting to slowly creep in there because we did get some news. The WNBA is putting in that work. All teams announced their schedule a couple days ago, and they also announced the Commissioner's Cup, which, again, for NBA fans who aren't as interested in the WNBA, the one thing I'll say is you probably should be paying attention to the big things the WNBA is doing, because what the NBA likes to do is experiment with things in the WNBA, and then if they work there, they bring them to the NBA. And one of the things they did was the Commissioner's Cup. This whole NBA in-season tournament, that the WNBA did that for a couple years, and it was successful. And I'm like, if this works here, they're definitely bringing it to the NBA. Like, that's the big warning sign when the WNBA does something new. They have a team in Vegas. Guess what's going to happen in the NBA? I'm telling you, it's just that's the pattern. And them embracing the Commissioner's Cup again, they're going to do it again. This is, I believe, the third or fourth year. And now it's a little bit more controlled. They're having all the games in a row. Before, they were scattered, Dime, kind of like they were for the NBA. It was like Tuesdays, Fridays. They were way more chaotic in the WNBA. There was no, at least to my knowledge, there was no consistency. It was just like, oh, it's a Commissioner Cup game. And it was like, okay, no jerseys, no chorus, nothing like that. It was just like, oh, I guess it's a Commissioner Cup game and a regular season game. That's cool. This time, at least so far, they've announced, I believe it's the month of June, and all the Sparks games, all the WNBA games are going to be Commissioner Cup games during that month, and then they're going to have the final when they have the final and all that. So I think that's interesting. Again, will the NBA adopt that exactly? Or will they do something a little different? We're obviously ways away from the NBA kind of giving us that information, but it's something to keep an eye on. I think the NBA in-season tournament will change a little. Maybe it'll be something like that or something similar. But they already have I think a good cadence with Tuesdays, Fridays. But they saw how popular it was. They might go nuts and say, hey, the first 10 games in the year are NBA in season, like jump right in. I don't know yet. The Sparks schedule came out. Their first games begin in May. And the interesting thing is that the Crypto.com arena does a lot of renovations in the summer because that's the slower time. They only have to worry about concerts and the Sparks. So they'll actually be at Long Beach for the first 5 home games. That way the arena can get like a lot more time to kind of do those maintenance and renovations and things that they're trying to do, which is why they changed the name to Crypto.com arena anyways, for money for renovations. And the Sparks will have to be at Walter Pyramid. Now, I've been here for a little while, but I'm not a lifer in LA like you are. Have you been to Long Beach State? Have you been to that facility? What's it like there if you've been?
I've never been. No, I've never been to Long Beach State.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how good
it's gonna be. I've never been on the campus for a game or anything like that.
Yeah, me too. I've been to Long Beach, of course. Plenty of times I've been to Long Beach. It's a great area. But yeah, I'm not thrilled about having to do the drive to Long Beach to watch it, but I'll be doing the drive because, I mean, it's also my job. So I'll be there. So I'm curious to see how that'll work. Obviously, it'll be just the first 5 games. And then after that, they'll be in crypto for the rest of them. But yeah, again, little moments that are kind of signaling, hey, the WNBA is also kicking off. It's gearing up. That might be our last significant, update for a little while, because I can't imagine there'll be anything else until, the NCAA is done and we can get into, mock drafts and things of that nature. But I was surprised. It's kind of early to go ahead and get that information out, but I think they wanted to do it before the holidays, or else they'd have to wait until January. And, before you know it, it feels a long way away, but the draft's like in, I believe, March. So we're going to quickly get into it. So it's good that they kind of gave us the information on the schedule and kind of the way the season's going to start, and kind of give you that little taste before, we actually, get closer to it.
When's the draft?
Let me look it up real quick, because I think now we have the official date for that. So it's going to be – no, that can't be right. I'm looking to see – I'm seeing the draft lottery, but that already happened. Let's see if they give it April 15th. It's going to be April 15th. So, yeah, it's still a little ways away, but
yeah, it's a while away.
Yeah. So that's why they're just, I think it was a little early to announce what they've announced, but hey, no complaints for me. I just saved it all in my phone. I'm not sure about you, Dime. Let me ask you this question. For the Lakers, to make sure I'm like on it, besides just being on it, I sync all the games on my phone. Do you do the same thing to make sure you know exactly when the Clippers play and all that?
Nah, I don't do anything. I just.
So how do you know when they play? You just wake up every morning and like look it up to make sure?
I just take it one game at a time. No. But no, what I do also is I have to reserve tickets for the month for which games I want to go to. So I know the home games. The road games, I didn't even know we were playing OKC this week.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Obviously, for me, I have a lot of writing to do. I really got to be honest. But even before that, I just once I knew I was kind of taking it more seriously, like, I want to cover this team. It's real simple. Obviously, you can do this for any team. When you go on their website, it says, hey, you want to add it to your calendar? I'm like, let me just add all of them to my calendar, and then I don't have to think about it. If I have a question, I can just pull up my phone and be like, oh, it's not on my calendar, so they must not play because it would be there. So that's my strategy. I do that for the Lakers. I've done that for the Sparks. For the Clippers, since I'm not like as locked in, I just have to be locked in for the pod. I just make sure I have the calendar and stuff on my desktop at all times. So if I ever want to pull it up, I can just go to my desktop's main page and okay, there it is. I got a wonderful picture of Kawhi and PG here. And then the entire schedule is there ready to go. Okay, so speaking of the schedule, we have some games tomorrow. Again, the Lakers are in Chicago playing the Bulls. The Bulls are obviously a team that's kind of tanking and floundering, but they've looked pretty good even without Zach LaVine. They've kind of, rallied around. Kobe White's been doing really good. They're 6-3. I still think the Lakers take this one. What do you think, Dime? Are the Bulls gonna are going to win here, or are they looking at the L?
I think the Lakers are going to win, and they'll bounce back and get this W. But the Bulls have been playing pretty well lately. They just beat the Sixers.
Yeah, like literally yesterday. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Okay, then we have the Clippers also playing. A little bit of Luka magic here. So are you nervous now? Is Luka gonna do what he does and destroy things there, or not this
No,
time?
no, we're going to beat them. No Derek Lively, no Kyrie Irving, no Josh Green. Luka's not going to beat us by himself. Not with a super team. We're beating them.
You know what? I'm gonna just zag and say Luka Magic does it. He does it this one. So we'll see what happens. But I think you're right. Dallas is not as good as their record reflects because of the absences they have, and it's a lot to ask of them. Oh man, I really don't like that pick. You know what? I'm gonna flip up already. Yeah, they're not gonna do it. He's gonna have if they do it, he has to drop 47. Like it's gonna have 40, to be that kind
45
of game.
plus, honestly.
Yeah, I'm saying 47. Even 41 is not going to be enough. This team is just too good right now. He's going to have to really go nuclear. So, yeah, I got him for 47 in a win if they win, but I'm going to predict a loss. All right, moving on. The Lakers, again, it's been a rough schedule. They play Wednesday, then Thursday. Again, back at it. They're in Minnesota playing the team with, like, the best record in the West.
And with the Clippers.
Yeah, so it's rough. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a loss. What do you think? Do the Lakers do they beat the T-Wolves on the road?
This is Los Angeles' first look at Minnesota, both sides. I'm very excited for this. That's a stretch. I'm not very excited, but I'm interested. Yeah. Lakers and Wolves.
It gets you, it's enough to make you be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Let's see what that looks like.
Well, I'm always gonna check out Lakers anyway, but now seeing the Timberwolves, I'm gonna go with the Wolves winning because it's a back-to-back for the Lakers, and I'm also gonna go with the Clippers streak ending at 9 to the Thunder. I think that's gonna be a tough matchup for us. Lou Dort guarding Kawhi, and then Jalen Williams guarding Paul George, and then SGA on Harden. I think that trio is the best to match up with that. And then Chet Holmgren on the pick and pop is going to make Zubac work defensively. And unlike Sacramento, who's a younger, fast team, they actually defend the Thunder in terms of Chet Holmgren at the rim compared to Sabonis. So it's not going to be easy money, when we get to the basket. So I think that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah. And then we got the Lakers also playing. Again, we share teams a lot like this. That's kind of, because of the region and all that, it just makes sense that our schedules are going to be pretty similar. We play OKC on Saturday. Unfortunately, I got this as a Lakers loss as well. Just OKC's very good. You're on the road.
On the road, okay.
Huh?
Yeah,
on the road. No, they're on the road.
Yeah, already lost them on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be tough. So I got the Lakers losing that one. How about you? Do you have the Lakers winning or losing against OKC on the 23rd of December?
Losing, because the Thunder will have 2 days rest as well.
Yeah. All right. And then you're playing that day too against the team. I hope this will be one of the few times I'm going to be, I should pull up for this one. I should pull up for Boston. And I don't know if I wouldn't rock a Clippers jersey, but I would definitely wouldn't be rooting for Jason Tatum and the Celtics here. But regardless of my feelings for them, they're a good team. What do you think? Can you pull off the win against Boston before the holidays?
That's going to be a great game. I'll be there. I'm going to say yes because it's at home. But I think whenever we go to Boston, I think we'll lose to them. That team is going to be a very tough matchup for us. Let me tell you this, Edwin. Let's say the Clippers do make the finals this year. We cannot lose to the Celtics, bro, because all my
you cannot.
I've already lost to the Dodgers. I've to the Red Sox, and I was there. Lost to the Patriots, and I was there. Bro, my friends and my Boston sports fans friends have been very quiet lately because the only team that really can make them the Bruins are pretty good, but the Celtics are the ones they're really hoping for. Red Sox have been in the mud. Patriots are terrible. They gave me a hard time when I was in college. My Clippers would be the worst defeat of all. And I actually like the Celtics team, but no, I can't have that, man. That'd be the Laker fans' nightmare finals, Celtics and Clippers. It would be great though because all of LA would rally around the Clippers. It'd be hilarious if the Clippers prevent the Celtics from getting banner 18. The rivalry may just die right there if there ever was one.
For sure. It's gonna be like that. There's a great for the pod because we'll be like, it'll become a Clipper pod for sure. There's no way I'm gonna be rooting for the. No way I'll be rooting for the sub. There's no scenario There's no scenario where even if my life was on the line, I would root for the opposing team. And maybe that says something dark about me, but I'm like, you know what? I gave my life to the cause. Like the Celtics did not win on my watch. Like no way. Yeah. So and again, the final game we have here is actually going to be the Monday game, which is on Christmas Day. Marquee matchup: Lakers Celtics. And Dime, I can't. We can't lose this one. Like the Lakers can't. I know that the players don't care as much as the fans do about the rivalry, but I'm like, I can't tell LeBron, but if I could, I'd be like, please.
They should.
Like, you can lose the next 3 games. You can lose the next 3 games, but don't lose this one. You can't lose this one. I know it literally doesn't matter anymore than the other 82, but it does. You got to win. It's Christmas. You can't ruin. Dime already ruined Banner Night. Don't ruin Christmas Day with the L here. I can't have it. But to be honest, what do you think? I mean, the Celtics are a good team. It's a rivalry game on the road for the Boston, at home for the Lakers. Who do you got on the Christmas Day matchup?
You know what? I think it's going to be one of those games, kind of like the in-season tournament, where all the bright lights will be on, everyone's going to be watching, and LeBron's going to try to put on a show for the paying fans. And he's gonna act like a lifelong Laker for that day. And he's gonna be like, we have to make sure we beat the Celtics today. We can't have Laker fans with a bad Christmas. And I think LeBron's gonna come through, and then social media is gonna go crazy about Bron right before his birthday, saying 39 years old, and it's gonna be all over the place. That's my prediction.
All right, I love it. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up here. That's the end of episode 9 of Basketball on Figueroa. I'm Edwin Garcia, here again, once again, with my co-host Darian Vaziri, aka Dime Dropper, and we out.